Hello, I'm Tara Volesky,
And I'm Rod Hall.
and we're running for the school board as a team.
Now, a few weeks ago, Tara called me and wanted to know if I'd run for the school board. And I said, "Oh, Tara, I'm old enough to know better than that." And then, a few days later, Tara called me again, and she said that she was going to run for the school board. And so I said, "If you're going to run for the school board, why don't you come over to our home and I can talk to you and tell you some background information, show you some things that you would find quite interesting." And so she came over. And then when she got here, what did she ask me?
I asked you, I found out a lot about Mr. Hall with his experience in the state legislature and being on the school board, and I'm like, he ought to be running. And anyway, I said, "Mr. Hall, why don't you run for the school board?" And he said, "Well, I'm too old to know better, or I'm old enough to know better."
I'm old enough to know better.
To know better. And I said, "Okay, well, if I run with you, would you run as a team?" And that's why we're here today. And we're here to talk about why we are running together as a team. First of all, our first point, I just want to make a quote from Harry Truman: "When you give people the facts, they will do the right thing." So we want to lay out the facts here, what we're going to do as a team. And the first thing we're going to talk about is communication. Better communication for the public to know, the teachers to know, open communication. I can have Rod talk about that a little more in depth.
Okay. Yeah, I think that one of the important things is the public generally is very interested in their schools. They're very interested in all levels of government. But for far too many years, they've been shut out. They do not get the answers they want. And when they do feel brave enough to go to a board meeting, a county commission or city commission, too often they're intimidated by the elected officials. And we just want to make this Mitchell School Board meetings as user-friendly as possible. And so for that reason, we do believe that we should have them no earlier than 7 o'clock in the evening. This would allow the working people to get off work, get home, clean up, get a bite to eat, and come to the school board. And to make it even more user-friendly to the taxpayers, we want to set aside the first 30 minutes where the board members could talk to each other about policy, about their ideas, and also any constituent would be able to come and ask questions, talk about problems they see, and during this 30 minutes, which would be conducted by the president of the school board, and I say that very emphatically, it would be conducted by the president of the school board and not the superintendent. The school board would listen to the people. This would be the first chance the Mitchell people would have a chance to visit informally with all the school board members. And then after the first 30 minutes, the school board would go ahead with the regular scheduled agenda. And we just think that this would be one step in the right direction. And again, when questions come up or comments, we would listen, we would discuss, but the board would not take immediate action. We'll take some time and think about it and discuss it. Certainly we would discuss issues with the superintendent, and he could discuss it with all of his staff, principals, teachers, specials, coaches, and all of those.
Right. And we want to bring our D- rating by the Sunshine Organization. We have a D- rating, and we want to bring it up to an A+. And South Dakota also has a D- for transparency. So that's what we're all about. We're about honesty, transparency, letting the public know what's going on with the school board, because there's many big things that are going to be happening here in the near future, and the public has a right to know what's going on. And we do not believe that the taxpayers' money. It's very important to watch over the taxpayers' money. So that's why we're for open, transparent school board meetings and discuss all the issues that might
Tara,
be going on.
I just have to jump in because I'm just shocked when I find out that right now drawings are made to have a new high school for $35 to $40 million. The drawings, the pictures are printed, the drawings are made, and people really don't know anything about it.
Okay, Rod, that's for the next section. We can clip it here, and then if you want to tune in, click on to the buildings and the new Fine Arts Center we'll be talking about. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to talk about maintaining and improving school facilities. I'm sure, and I just found this out, and that's one of the main reasons that inspired me to run for the school board, is because I found out that they are in the process right now of building a $14 million fine arts center that is to be constructed by 2016. And I just, I looked into it. I researched many high schools in South Dakota and throughout the nation to see if there are many schools that have a $14 million standalone fine arts center. Well, anyway, I came up with researching Brookings, South Dakota, and they just did a $5.54 million remodel on their high school, and it's absolutely beautiful. I've been in it, and it looks like a brand new high school from the outside and inside. And so what I did was I called the superintendent of schools, Dr. DeGroot, and I asked him about it. I said, now, how did you come about doing this? And he said, well, we contacted some architects. We got together and decided, the school was built in 1967. Our school was built in 1963. And then he said, it's about time we do a facelift, basically, but because the structure is very good. And so they contacted 6 architectural companies that did some drawings and designs for nothing. It didn't cost a thing. And they came up with an architect firm out of Sioux Falls. And then what they did was contract out or bid it out to 16 different construction companies. And that's why they came with such a good price. And he said, it turned out beautifully. They totally remodeled their auditorium, their school auditorium, and it looks like a beautiful fine arts center. And we could do the same thing right here with our high school. And they did they brought the windows out. They opened up. They have a green room. They're where they eat, their cafeteria. They gutted that, and it looks like a college campus center. It's absolutely beautiful. And so Mr. Hall and I, we're very conservative with the taxpayers' money because we don't believe the budgets should be balanced on the taxpayers' backs. And we could do something. That should be another option for the public to be aware of, that we have open forums and meetings and talk about before this project goes through a $14 million standalone fine arts center.
Now, I would like to add, with a fine art center at $14 million to be built in the next 3 years, why do so few people know anything about it? This is anything this big that's going to be paid for by the public's taxes should be discussed in the greatest detail. That's what communication is all about. It's the superintendent's responsibility and the board's right and duty to keep the public informed about the planning and the studies, and they should invite different consumer groups in. And if this is going to be done by 2016, people should have been involved in this for several years before. Because certainly if it's going to be done in 2016, they're going to have to start turning dirt pretty soon. And so with open communication, we think with open school board meetings where people can come and feel comfortable, these things can be discussed in public, not in private, but in public. And any and every board member, the administrators, and the taxpayers would sit in open session where it would be discussed. Certainly, when you get into the letting of contracts and bidding procedures, you have to, that's the time that you do it professionally. But specifically, the first item right now is to let the people know the details of this $14 million building that's going to be built quite soon. It will be completed by 2016. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We have other issues relative to building and facilities that are very important. And Tara can mention some of those, one of those.
Right. And I've done much research in this area because I'm kind of a fact finder. I mean, I like to find out. I make a lot of phone calls. I visit a lot of schools. And I really think that that money could be much better spent by doing a total remodel of the high school like they did in Brookings, like they're doing many other schools. They've done additions. In Huron right now, they're going to add on, if this bond issue goes through, on 3 different elementary schools. They're not going to tear them down. And I very seldom do I hear of a school being torn down. I mean, my grade schools way back when I was in grade school, they're still standing. And sometimes the older the buildings are, the better built they are. So I think that we really need to discuss these issues as far as what we're going to do in the future, because, parents that do have small children now, I don't know that they want to wait 12, 15 years for a new high school. I think we can do something a lot sooner and have a very beautiful facility for our kids to go to school in without raising taxes at all.
The general agreement that the high school was built in 1963. But what not a lot of people realize, as recently as 1991, they had spent $2.9 million for the last remodel. And there'd been a few other remodels in between those years. And like Tara says, do we have to tear that school down? Now, the real example of this is in Mitchell. The old Longfellow School had just undergone, finished up in 1994, almost $1 million of being remodeling. The principal said this is a very, very sturdy school, and it will be around as long as Rogers and Williams. Well, that was true, but she did not anticipate the attack by the bulldozer and the wrecking ball.
Right. And I just think, these are very, very important issues to deal with, and costly issues, and very concerning to the taxpayers, because, I mean, every year it seems like our property taxes go up, 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 and we need to do whatever we can to, keep property taxes low and do the right thing for the community, for the kids, for the teachers. It's got to be a community involvement. And right now, I don't think, special interests should, win out. And just last week, I went to the show choir at the Corn Palace, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And sitting in the Corn Palace is probably one of the most beautiful venues you can be part of. And they did a phenomenal job. The dinner was great, and the performances were wonderful. And I just can't see holding those performances anywhere other than the Corn Palace, because people love the Corn Palace. It's iconic. People come from all over to see the Corn Palace, and to separate from the Corn Palace to have your own facility makes no sense to me whatsoever. Just like if the school wanted to build their own gym and have their basketball games held there. I couldn't imagine playing basketball games anywhere other than the Corn Palace or having show choir performances at the Corn Palace.
Now, I'd like to jump in here. Again, if Brookings could, for $6 or $7 million, have a really significant remodel of their facility, which was perhaps 4 years newer than the Mitchell School, why couldn't the Mitchell schools take twice that amount of money? Take that $14 million that might be spent in haste to build a fine arts center, but take that $14 million and combine remodel of the high school, including a fine arts center portion, and have one facility rather than two separate facilities, which would require two separate heating systems. You'll get some economy if you could start coordinating these features. Again, why should students traipse from one end of the area in the winter weather that we have, from one area to the other? Have the high school unit as a unit. And do we have to wait till 2025 for the new high school? If we can do this Fine Arts Center in the next 3 years, if we put our shoulder to the wheel, the whole works can be done by 2016, maybe 2017. And so the kids wouldn't have to wait another dozen years. And there's no question but what, if we are careful, the whole thing can be done for $14 million if Brookings can do it for $7.
Right. Actually, they did it for $5.54 million, and they completed it, was it last year and a half ago. And it does cost more nowadays, but not that much more. But even $10 million would give you a beautiful high school with a brand new fine arts center where the auditorium can be gutted. And if you look at Brookings, and they welcomed us to come up, and they would give us a tour of the high school. It'd be nice to get some people together, and that's how you get your ideas, and you find out, gather information through what other people and what other towns and communities are doing.
Well, we're just very pleased to see the Second Chance High School looking forward, but also even more so looking back at the 20 years of success that they have had. Shane Thill has been the principal for that group for 20 years, and now they want to expand it, establish a permanent home, and with this Second Chance High School, this will allow far more high school students to graduate, and graduate in a situation where they can succeed in vocational technical education, they can succeed in collegiate education. The track record so far has been good, and it can be improved. Now, with this improvement here in Mitchell, we're very interested in seeing how Harrisburg, the fastest growing school system in the state, they're proceeding along the same situation where they don't treat everybody the same, but they start talking about individual differences and providing for continuous pupil progress. And now I think Tara can go ahead and talk a little bit about the history of continuous pupil progress from our point of view.
Well, I was very surprised to find out that Mr. Hall wrote a term paper for his master's from the University of South Dakota on continuous progress. And pleased to announce that you did receive an A. And his professor said that this is one of the finest papers I have received in many years of teaching. More power to you. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And amazing. This paper is older than me. It was written in 1957. So this has been around many, many years.
That's when Sputnik got launched.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, 57. Wow. Anyway, that's amazing. So Mr. Hall is an expert in the area, and I read the whole term paper, and it was very, very educational. And I'm getting a great education just running for the school board because he's got 3 years of experience, former school board member, and he's been in the legislature for 9 years?
6.
6 years. And so this has been a great education for me, and I think what they're doing, and we want to continue with the continual progress or mass customized learning. I think it's a great thing for kids, and it's already been proven in many other school districts and states. I know teachers have gone to Maine, I believe, Nebraska, and checked, studied under some of the schools that have been doing it for years. So it already has been proven, and I think it's a great thing for Mitchell School District.
You did mention my having been in the state senate for 6 years, and I think that some of the school people might be interested to know that I was one of the leaders in establishing the South Dakota retirement system, but more so of interest to the students would be the fact that Senator Gene Mahan introduced a bill that was really a wild one. It was to build the Dakota Dome. And I was fortunate enough to be one of the co-sponsors to build the Dakota Dome. Well, we didn't want to just do one thing. We created the four-year medical school there at Vermilion at the State University also. And these things all take money. And so while I was in the Senate with Harvey Woolman, we did establish the South Dakota Investment Council, which has, over the years, been one of the best state-operated investment firms in the nation. And for that reason, the last correspondence I had from the director of the South Dakota Retirement System, that as of March 31st, South Dakota Retirement System would be 100% funded. Very few retirement systems in the nation even come close to that.
Yeah, I really commend you on that, because then the teachers should be really happy to know that. We have one of the best retirement systems in the nation. And thanks to you, Mr. Hall. So anyway, as far as education, we're very pro-education and for progress, moving ahead. And we just think that, it'd be an honor to be part of the school board team to move this school forward. And not just on building projects, but educational with the mass customized learning. And with MTI, I worked in higher education for quite a few years. And it's a great thing for the community, because the students, they can take their technical, pre-technical classes in high school and then go to MTI. And then it's great for Dakota Wesleyan, because say they end up with a 2-year degree in a technical program at MTI, then they can apply that to a 4-year college education, an applied management degree, which Dakota Wesleyan offers. So you can advance your education from high school to technical school to a 4-year college education. And I don't know that many people know about it, but it's wonderful opportunities that start in the high school and advance further.
And in education, it's very important to be open to every kind of an idea. Keep your ears open. And again, just because somebody disagrees with what's going on, don't just discount it. That idea may be good. And until you have some of your ideas actually flop, you really haven't done enough. And we just think that there should be open communication where all the professionals discuss these issues professionally and then come to a consensus, try them out, change them, improve them, eliminate the parts that don't work. This is the way engineering processes have worked since the beginning of time. Some things work, some things don't. But until you've tried enough, you're not giving the students the opportunities that they have a right to expect.
Well, we really appreciate you tuning in and listening to what we are representing. And hopefully, this is on Facebook. We welcome your comments. We welcome your questions. If you don't want your name known, we have an anonymous. You can write down your questions anonymously also. So, and you can call us. Everything's on Facebook, our email address, phone numbers, and we really would appreciate comments from the public. And we'll answer every question we can. And we hope you'll come to all our forums. And if you want us to, if you'd like us to speak to your service clubs, bridge clubs, coffee clutches, we're more than happy to go anywhere and talk to your group of people or individually. So we are open for all kinds of gatherings and comments. And just thank you very much for tuning in, Mr. Hall.
Yes, I want to again make it very clear that we will be perfectly willing to come to your groups and listen to your questions and discuss your issues in an honest and forthright manner. And you don't have to disagree, you don't have to agree with us. You can disagree with us, and we will not be disagreeable. This is the way we can have a true, honest discussion of what's best, not only for the Mitchell School District, but much more importantly, what's best for the students of the Mitchell School District. Then what's best for the taxpayers of the Mitchell School District. And finally, what's best for the entire community. And we'll work cooperative with you, and we will bring a whole new realm of openness and your right to know what's going on. We will let the sunshine in on the Mitchell operation of the Mitchell School System. We hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you very much. Go Colonels.